Welcome to the Porky Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Ellis. Porky.co is the way to go in creating rides and connecting riders. Porky's platform technology helps you to find, meet, ride with your motorcycle tribe. This Porky Podcast is sponsored by Rolling Thunder Harley-Davidson. Visit rollingthunder.co.nz and choose your flavor of Harley-Davidson Freedom. Today's guest on the Porky Podcast is Isaac Fisher. Thanks for joining us, Isaac.
How you going?
Let's get right into it. So tell us a bit about yourself, Isaac.
I've been into Harleys all my life and wanted to work with them, ride them, race them, and I've been working at Rolling Thunder for 15 plus years now as I started out as in the spare parts and then worked my way into being a mechanic, did my apprenticeship, and now the workshop foreman.
Awesome. So what sparked your interest in riding? What are your earliest memories about riding?
My earliest memories was going out to the racetrack with my father. He has always been into motorcycles and has really kicked off my interest. I used to love going out and getting amongst it and riding around the paddock, really.
Awesome. Do you remember your first ride on a bike?
Yep, it was on a Pee Wee 50. It wasn't my own bike, it was a friend of mine's, but yeah, once I rode it, I loved it.
Do you remember your first ride on, say, the back of your dad's bike?
Not really. I don't really remember it, but I know that I was on the fuel tank because I was quite small.
Cool. What was your first bike?
My first bike was a Honda XR80.
Awesome. Tell us a bit about that XR80.
As sparking the mechanic side of things, my dad bought it in a box of bits and it got built up and sort of something that we did and got going and enjoyed it for a few years and moved on to something else.
Awesome. So speaking of something else, what current bike do you have at the moment?
I've got a Harley-Davidson Sportster XR 1200. I also have a 1974 Shovelhead Sportster and a Softail.
Awesome. What do you reckon? Which model XR 1200 do you have? Do you have the X?
Yeah, the XR 1200.
Awesome.
X.
And you use that for a bit of racing, a bit of bears racing?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of track time on it, but I mainly ride a Buell on the track.
Gotcha. Awesome. So, in terms of your dream garage, what are a couple of the bikes that you'd want to have in your dream garage if money's no object?
For the racetrack, I would like to have a Ducati Panigale. I've always loved them. Awesome piece of machinery. For the road, I wouldn't go past a hotted up Sport Glide.
Awesome.
Softail Sport Glide.
Awesome. So what is it? What's the reason why you ride?
The thrill I get out of it, I enjoy on the road, relaxing and just getting the wind in your hair essentially. Getting out and getting around a few corners. On the racetrack, it's the adrenaline. Not only adrenaline, but everyone meets and has the like-minded interests and loves going fast, and it's in a safe environment.
Outstanding. What's your favorite ride?
My favorite ride would be on the road, would probably be the road to Akaroa.
Mm-hmm.
Racetrack, I can never get past. A few years ago, I was lucky enough to go to Phillip Island in Melbourne and do a ride day there, and that would be my all-time favourite ride so far.
Oh, very cool. So, what do you think's your next ride? What's the next ride you're going to be on?
The next ride, I'm actually got a planned ride this Sunday with my partner. We're going to go for a ride up around the hills and stop and have some lunch and just blow some cobwebs out.
Excellent. So, in terms of music, what's on your ride soundtrack?
To be honest, I have never got into listening to music on the bike. Mm-hmm. I like having nothing in my ears, as far as some people wear headphones. Also on the speakers that come through, some of the Harleys have stereos. I've never really got into listening because I like to hear everything that's happening around me.
Gotcha. Now, it's interesting to hear those that prefer just the experience of riding rather than throwing music in as well. So as a qualified Harley-Davidson Master Tech, what is it that you do with your bike prior to going for a ride or prepping your bike for a race?
Yeah, so the first one, it's going to sound stupid, but you always want to make sure you've got a full tank of gas. Mm-hmm. Check your oil, go over, make sure your tyre pressures are checked. Make sure that you go around a few fasteners, make sure everything looks as it should. The best thing that you can do is run a rag around your bike when you first, before you go for a ride, because you're going to see if anything's loose or anything's out of the ordinary that shouldn't be like it is.
Gotcha. And then what do you do? Is there anything that you do when you're finished riding your bike that's worth considering?
To be honest, at the end, after a ride, once you're home or whatnot, having a beer is probably not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
The best thing that you can do is plug your bike into a battery tender. They're worth their weight in gold. Even if you've got a couple of bikes and one battery tender, even whether you put it on for a couple of days on one bike, then move it on to the next for a couple of days, they're worth their weight. And with the Harley battery tenders, you can actually plug them into your bike, leave them on for months on end, and they will turn off and on as they charge.
No, it's a great idea. They really help extend the life of that battery. Are there any things that you would recommend to all riders to consider doing to maintain their bike better?
To be honest, it's something that I've been guilty of before, and I know a lot of people are guilty of, but the best thing that you can do is check your tyre pressures before you go for a ride. If you're riding your bike every day, you don't have to do it every day, but you should do it maybe once a week or once a fortnight. If you're riding your bike once a fortnight, you should definitely check them each time. You should check around your bike periodically to make sure that your lights are working, your indicators, your tail light, headlight. It's a quick check. And as I said before, just make sure that you run a rag around your bike when you're cleaning it. That's the best time to pick up if anything's going to happen, anything's gone wrong.
Outstanding. Hey, thanks very much for that useful advice, and thanks for joining us, Isaac. We will definitely be sure to have you back to share some other top tips. Thanks for listening to the Porky Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest rider on the show, recommend another guest rider, or if you need any help or have any feedback with the Porky app, email us at info@porky.co. If you enjoyed the Porky Podcast, please leave us a positive review on your favorite podcast platform. Find a ride on Porky.co, meet other local riders, and ride safe. Everyone take care.